Here's just a look at the meetings that they've had between each other in Liga, and you can see PSG dominated Monaco on match day 21 with a 4-1 win. Then Monaco, by the way, did beat PSG back on match day 14. And then obviously we've got tonight's result, making it pretty interesting, Nige, for the next leg. Welcome along, by the way. Good to have you back with us after the Golazo show.
Yeah, good show.
Obviously, PSG tonight didn't get off to the best of starts, did they, against Monaco? How good was it for Monaco at the beginning to be up by 2 against the defending champions?
Well, there's two sides of it. You've got to look at it from a USA perspective, with Flo Balogun scoring 2 goals, great goals, took them very well. Great start and great for USA strikers scoring goals. PSG 2-0 down, you were wondering, wow, what kind of PSG's performance is this? But then they showed the character and the quality. Doué came in for Dembélé, who looked like he was carrying some kind of injury, was hobbling off. And then you talk about taking your opportunities and chances. Doué went in there and just literally changed the game. First goal was a fantastic individual effort by himself. He comes on, really talented player. I had the pleasure to see him live. And he, for me, has all the attributes, and I know I say a little bit, but to go on to win the Ballon d'Or one day in his career. But that was his first goal there. Great pass by Barcola. Finishes it like a true pro. This one there is a great strike. Hakimi puts in the rebound, but he was just very influential, very alive, taking the game to Monaco, and very influential in his performance from coming on as a substitute.
There's a directness to his game that not a lot of players have. He's got all the moves and the 1v1s and the technical ability, but there's a directness, like he hurts you when he can turn and shoot. And you see here, 3 shots, all of them on target. I think when you play for PSG, you come up against teams that want to play in a low block. So he's a key to unlock those low blocks. He's a dangerous player, quick. He can play with space behind. He can play in tight spaces as well. So he's got a skill set that you don't see often.
He's not been the featured guy all year, right? And I think that's why you see sort of the fingers to the ears, the shushing in one of the I think it was the first goal.
Well, it's good that you say that, Tone, because he's actually been coming and receiving a lot of criticism from Paris Saint-Germain fans recently that his performances have been nowhere near as good as they were last year. And it just shows how football changes. You've gone from Paris Saint-Germain, a club that we know dominate Liga, and now they're obviously defending champions of the Champions League. Now, all of a sudden, standards have gone up and expectations from fan base has gone up now. Now you have to take your game to another level. What it is good for any of the young players and young professional wannabes watching, it's about when managers say to you, be ready when your opportunity comes. Because one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity. And you look at today, Dembélé comes off, Doué comes in, and he takes the opportunity, and he's gone back now from being down there to up there with Paris Saint-Germain.
And I think we saw a little bit of this, where sort of the expectations rise all the way to the Champions League finals last year, right, where he scored 2 goals and he came on, and it was such a dominating performance. We've kind of seen this, right, with PSG. Just think about Zaire Emery a couple of years ago. Like, we were talking, you mentioned Ballon d'Or, right? We were talking about Zaire Emery like one day, this is a Ballon d'Or type guy, and then he doesn't get the opportunities. They stack this midfield. No Ruiz today, so he has an opportunity to play. So it's kind of been a storyline with PSG. All these young players coming in that don't necessarily sort of explode right away, right? But when you get rid of Mbappe, the idea is that kids like this, younger players like this, are the ones that are going to fill the shoes. Of course, Kvaratskhelia came last year and played in that side, but you can see there's a little bit of frustration from Doué and maybe a lot of relief today after he gets 2 goals. And now maybe the season starts to, I think he's got 8 goals in all competitions this year. I think there was a higher expectation for him. But I think it's clear, right? When you watch him play, like, the guy's got some talent, man.
It's good. Yeah, excellent player.
How do you think they'd be feeling, Grell, for the second leg, though, obviously, because now they're at home, they're still in a bit of a title race, aren't they, in Liga, and they're trailing Lens by just a point. Next week, when we see this tie obviously shift back to the Parc des Princes to have that 1-goal advantage, they would have preferred, no doubt, to have more cushion. Do you think they'll be feeling confident, though?
Yeah, I think they're a tough team. Like Troy mentions before, I think they're a tough team to play 180 minutes against. I don't know how they're going to have a lot of the possession most of the time. They're going to pin you in, and then it just becomes difficult because they got guys moving off the ball, and they overload certain parts of the field, and they whip balls across, and they take shots from the outside. And so for 180 minutes, it's going to be a tough team to roll over and a tough team to beat. And I think 90 minutes with a goal up at home, it's difficult.
Yeah.
I can see them getting the job done, but it's actually quite funny because if you look at last year, the late run they made to make it into this situation, and then even the games that they had, you talk about the game against Aston Villa, the game against Liverpool, they were great for certain periods of the game, but they were still vulnerable where you thought in an instant they could have lost. Because I remember watching the Villa game, the second leg at Villa Park, where I think it was Asensio at the time who missed a goal where if they would have scored that, Villa would be the one going through. So they're still the same Paris Saint-Germain playing the same style where you see moments and glimpses where they're an amazing team, the quick one-touch play around the edge of the box, but then they see moments when they're so vulnerable and open and they could be beaten. So for me, they're showing the same similar form as they did in last season's run.
It's so true, because even that game against Aston Villa, everyone said, OK, you know, PSG, it shouldn't look too uncomfortable for them. But then it really was on the ropes at some moments in that. Does it help, do you think, Tony, playing a team at this point in the competition from your own league? Is that an advantage or is it a disadvantage?
Well, up until, what, 40-something minutes, just after the break when Monaco gets the red card, right? I mean, Monaco was in the game, obviously, right? And I think there's a comfort in that if you're Monaco. For PSG, sure, you have a comfort level understanding the opponent. Scouting becomes a little bit easier. We mentioned what it was in December, right? That Monaco won 1-0 in that game. So they have sort of, you know, they have an idea, okay, we don't have to be in awe of this PSG side, although there's a lot of players to be in awe of. But yeah, look, I think PSG showed a little bit of character today, right? Going down 2-0, the way things have been going for Luis Enrique, the comments, you know, they just lose on the weekend to Rennes, right? The comments from Luis Enrique about nobody's bigger than the club. Dembele had some things to say. So there's all these kind of little things bubbling up on the surface. They had to show a little bit of character. You're down 2-0, and now you got to fight back. They down 2-0, and you miss a penalty kick. Penalty kick saved, right? And then you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, this is just not PSG's day, right? And then they find a way. And look, if you make a run in any championship, in any league, Champions League, in your league title, doesn't matter what level you're at, you're going to have to win games like this. This wasn't something that Luis Enrique is going to go back and go, I'm really thrilled tonight with the way this team played, because he has this other vision in his head of how PSG should play. But you leave the first leg up, you're going home to play in the Parc des Princes, and you got to feel pretty good about that.
It's also the quality of the squad that they have. Like we say, we talk about Dembele not performing. You can bring young Doué on, and he comes on and changes the game like that. Again, it's a performance that's okay, but it's also a wake-up call. It's now, again, we're in the business end of the season now. This is the real serious part of the Champions League. I expect them to get the job done. I don't think that it's going to be as comfortable as they think that it will be, maybe, because Monaco, for me, always been that side where they're exciting. They've got some young players, some real young talent. And today, the youthfulness of their team letting themselves down. You look at Glovlin, who had the assist for Balogun's first goal, and then his red card and sending off was an unnecessary challenge that was just stupid. It was a real stupid challenge. You're 2-0 up against Paris Saint-Germain. You cannot let a team like that get back in the game. And that's just the youthfulness of this young Monaco side. And even though they didn't even take full advantage of the penalty that they got Paris Saint-Germain, but they came back into it, it just shows about being able to see out a game and having that more experience in your side.